Hi everyone, I'm Connie from Say It With Simplicity. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I like to create with my Silhouette Cameo. Today's project is this adorable pillow for spring made with some cute images from the Silhouette store. The neat thing about this project is that we'll be using the Silhouette Cameo to cut out these images from this black and white checked fabric that I found at the thrift store and using a special fabric stabilizer to do it. Okay, so for this project, you'll need 2 pieces of fabric for your pillow, cut at 19.5 inches wide and 10.5 inches length or 10.5 inches tall. And using a bleached cotton muslin, this is kind of a lightweight fabric. You could use canvas type of fabric. This is similar to what you would use for like a quilt backing. And since this is a little bit of a lighter fabric, I'm going to double up my pieces so that I have 2 for the front and 2 for the back. You might be able to use like some interfacing or something, but I just decided to cut out 4 of them. I'm only going to put my appliques on the top of the pillow, but so the extra will be sewn into the pillow. So I have 2, like I said, for the front and 2 for the back. And that'll just give it a little bit of extra durability. You'll also need some fabric for your bunny appliques. I found this one at a thrift store for about $1.50. It had been slightly cut from already, but I thought it would be a really cute fabric for my bunny appliques. To make the fabric ready for cutting, I'm going to be using this Material Magic, and it's a liquid fabric stabilizer, and I bought this off of Amazon, and I'll be leaving the link down below. But what you do is you can put your fabric into the sink or into a Ziploc bag, and you spray your fabric to saturate it, and then you hang it up for 10 minutes, and then you go ahead and you iron it with your iron. And if it dries in between time, you can dampen it with some water, but this will stiffen the fabric so that it can be cut on the Silhouette mat or the Cricut mat, whatever you are using. To hold down my appliques while I'm sewing them, I'm just going to use a little bit of this Elmer's washable school glue stick, and this it's purple, but it dries clear. And it works really well for just holding things in place without pins while you're sewing your fabric appliques to your pillow. Then when you get done with your pillow, you're going to want to stuff it. I have some polyfill in a bag by me, and I'm going to be using that. I think I used a little less than half of the 12-ounce bag. And I did end up taking a little bit out to make it a little bit less poofy, but this works out great for stuffing your pillow. When you finish your pillow, you're going to want to add some pom-poms, and these are some Doris pom-poms. I got these at a Ben Franklin store that's close to me, and I've had them in my stash for a long time, so it's not like I went out and bought them for this project. And I also have some ribbon here, and I created some little bows that I can use to look like a little bunny tie around their neck. For sending my prepared fabric to the Silhouette machine, I'm going to be using this Cricut fabric grip cutting mat, and the reason I like these cutting mats for this is because it has like the extra stickiness. And you really don't want that fabric to lift up off your mat while you're cutting, or you're not going to get a nice smooth cut. And I have a Cricut Explorer, so I had some of these mats around. So if you have something that works well for you, you can go ahead and use that if it's the Silhouette brand, or I also like the Nakapa cutting mats. But whatever you choose, you're going to want to make sure that you're going to have that extra stickiness to be able to keep that fabric down on there while it's cutting. Okay, I'm going to add the Material Magic to my fabric, and so I'm just going to lay down some paper towels here. And now you can spray this on. There's a spray applicator on the top of the bottle. And you want to saturate this pretty well. And I'm going to go hang this up for the 10 minutes that it needs to work into the fabric, and we'll be right back. Okay, so the Material Magic stuff, which I said I would leave a link to down in the description box below, has had a chance to absorb into the fabric and sort of do its thing. So now I have an iron here that's hot and on the cotton setting, and I'm just going to grab the iron and I'm going to start pressing. Now with the plaid, I want to try to make sure that I don't kind of misshape it as I iron. So I'm just going to go a little bit lightly at first so that it sort of dries. This is still a little bit damp, and that's good. And once I get this a little bit dry, then I'm just going to go over it like I would if I was ironing anything. And you want to iron this until it's dry. And it looks like it's pretty dry here. And now you can see that this, and it maybe is a little bit hard to see, but this is like almost a paper-like consistency now that that stabilizer, the Material Magic, has been applied. And I'm going to be placing this on my cutting mat to send to the Silhouette. Okay, so I'm in Silhouette Studio, and you can see that I have my bunny images here. I actually even used a pattern fill so I could kind of imagine here what they would look like. And I have my page set up to 18.5 wide and 10.5 height so that I could kind of, and actually I guess that should be 9.5 for my finished pillow. And that kind of helped me to visualize how large I would make my bunny cutouts. And these are the images. Let's go over to my library here. I have these 3 Easter bunnies and this Easter bunny set that I got from the store. And I just chose the 3 that I like the best for my pillow. And I sort of have them in the order that I'm going to have them on my pillow. And if I click on these, you can see this one is 4.7 by 5.821. And this one is a little taller because he's this sitting up bunny, and he's like almost 6.4. And so you just want to size these accordingly for your project. Now I'm getting ready to send these to my Silhouette Studio, so I'm going to go back to a work area size of 12 by 12. And let's turn my mat back on here. And I'm just, I have one bunny left to cut out, and I'm just going to click on him and put him in the center of the mat by this button in the quick access toolbar here. And I'm going to place my fabric also in the center of my mat. And that just worked out better for cutting it out of the fabric. And you can kind of see, I'll just kind of make a piece of fabric here that's about the size of my fabric, and just place that in the center also. And so you can see about where my placement would be here. Now, if you want to place your fabric on the mat more precisely, you can kind of, you know, bump up your reveal here so that you can see where your inch marks are. Let's zoom in here a little bit. And so that way you can place your fabric along the grid lines on your mat where it works out the best. So I also have a Cricut Explorer, and the Cricut mats work fine with the Silhouette. This is the fabric grip mat. And the thing I found is that the stickier your mat, kind of the better. That'll just hold this a little bit, better. And I'm just going to sort of place it in the middle of my mat. And you could maybe tape down the edges if you don't have a really super sticky mat. I think the thing that I found is that sometimes, your blade will kind of catch this and start to pull it up. And so that's kind of why I like the stickier mat. Okay, so now that we have our cutting job set up, I'm just going to remove this square. I have my fabric on my mat. I have my bunny placed in the center, and I'm going to go to my send panel, and my Cameo is ready, and I'm going to click on send. So in case you didn't catch those cut settings, I used cotton fabric printable, auto blade, blade 4, speed 5, force 33, and I did 2 passes for this cotton fabric. Okay, so I'm back here at my work area, and you can see my fabric on my mat. You can't really see the cut lines too much, but let's just go ahead and remove our fabric. And you can see that our little bunny cut out perfectly. You don't have the frayed edges that you would if you tried to cut this out with your scissors. And we can just pull him up here. And this is a really pretty stable image now that we can use for our pillow. So I'm back here and I'm ready to place my bunnies on my fabric, getting ready for them to be sewn. And I'm just going to kind of crease this in half a little bit so I can see where my center is. And I could do this way likewise. And I have my other layer under here, but remember I'm just going to use the top layer. So I want my tall bunny to be in the middle. And I want these other little guys to be sort of looking towards the center. I decided to speed up the video through the sewing section. Obviously, it took me much longer than is shown here. I had to go really slow around the feet and the tails because they were pretty tight areas. I guess in retrospect, I probably should have changed to a different presser foot that would have given me a little bit more visibility. I haven't done
lots and lots of applique, so it was a little bit of a learning process. My machine here is a Brother CS6000i, and I can put a link to this machine in the description box. One of the things I like about it is the ability to put the machine into kind of a slow speed mode, and while it didn't turn out perfect, it helped me to get around some of the tight spots, and I think it just adds a little bit of a whimsical look to the pillow, and in the end, I liked how it turned out.
Okay, so I'm done sewing my bunnies on and found out that I wasn't really a rock star about sewing around tight curves, I guess. But now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these, remember I'm using a double layer. I'm going to take and lay this good side down on this my back layers, and I'm going to sew around my pillow with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I'm just going to leave a little area down at the bottom so that I can stuff my pillow when I'm finished. Okay, so we're all sewn together. I'm going to do a little bit of trimming up here, and then I'm going to turn my pillow right side out and add some stuffing.
So the afternoon that I was working on this project, I had a meeting to go to in the evening, and I really wanted to get done. So by this point in the project, I was getting pretty excited about how it was going to turn out. One of the hardest things for me is visualizing a finished project, so I'm always a little bit reluctant to get started, but it gives me a real sense of accomplishment to get this far.
And now that I've turned my pillow inside out, I'm just going to use the end of this pen to kind of get in the corners a little bit. Or I should say right side out. I'm just going to go up there to get these a little bit better. And I didn't clip the corners on these. I feel like, you know, it's kind of a stress point, and I didn't want it to come, you know, apart. I shouldn't, but I didn't want to get the fabric too thin there. And I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a press with my iron. And I think that's looking pretty good.
I went ahead and stuffed my pillow with some polyfill. You want to be sure to reach into the corners to fill them up with stuffing. Then when I got all done stuffing, I felt like I had it a little bit overstuffed, so I ended up pulling some out, and I thought it looked a little better that way. What about you? Do you like your pillows overstuffed or a little bit understuffed?
To the corners real
After
good
stuffing the
here.
pillow, I just took a needle and thread and sewed my opening shut.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sort of lay out my little ribbons for my bunnies' ties where I want them. And you can trim these a little bit after you finish up gluing them, but I'm going to just take my Surebonder glue gun and I'm going to go ahead and glue them to the bunnies. Next I'll grab my pom-poms and I will go ahead and glue on the tails. And I'm just going to add a little bit of extra Alright, now my pillow is finished, and you can see that I have all the ribbons and the tails on, and I think that's so adorable, don't you? Alright, here's our finished pillow. Really super excited to be able to use this for my spring and Easter decor. I loved being able to use the Terrio Magic and my Silhouette Cameo to cut out these cute appliques. I'd love to know if you've ever tried this product. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this project, and we'll see you next time on Say It With Simplicity.